Hey everyone, I'm Nico from Licks of the Beast, and I just got back from London, England, where I attended the final night of the small but very successful Smith Kotzen tour. For those of you who don't know, this is the project of Iron Maiden guitarist Adrian Smith and Richie Kotzen, who is known for his work as a solo artist and with his supergroup Winery Dogs. He also had a brief stint with Poison in the early 90s and Mr. Big in the early 2000s. In this video, I'm going to share with you my impressions, thoughts, and feelings about the show and about the project overall. I also have some pretty cool footage from the show that I will refer to, so if you're ready, let's get right to it. The first thing I want to say here is that you really gotta admire Adrian for doing this, because he doesn't need to at this point in his career. It's not going to earn him any more money, notoriety, fame, or recognition than he already has as one of the most influential heavy metal guitarists of all time. So it's abundantly clear that this is a project born out of a pure love of music and songwriting. And it's really evident in the songs that make up both the album and the EP. The arrangements are interesting and creative, and the melodies and guitar work are very well thought out and put together. Adrian also keeps growing as a musician, guitarist, singer, and songwriter, and I'm sure that working with Richie has sparked some new creative and technical ideas. One thing that really stood out to me was just how well Adrian and Richie played and sang together, and I get the impression that a real, genuine friendship has developed between them, and that's always nice to see. Their guitar and vocal arrangements were really cool, and the way they both transitioned back and forth from rhythm to lead guitar or between lead and backing vocals was absolutely seamless. Their work is obviously very well rehearsed. Both guys are fantastic singers, and their voices complement each other perfectly. I have always loved bands that have two singers working together, like Alice in Chains or Triumph, and the way Richie and Adrian arrange their vocal lines is really just top-level stuff. They'll switch back and forth depending on which voice fits which part better, and then maybe harmonize in the chorus to make the hook stand out and sound even bigger. If you're enjoying this video, I want to ask you to please take 2 seconds to leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. I know that all of us here on YouTube are always harping on that on every video, but that's only because those two small actions do so much to help the channel. The sound was great, very well balanced, and for the most part, you could hear all the instruments clearly throughout the show. When one guitarist would take a solo, you could hear it well, yet the rhythm guitar would still be present enough to keep the sound nice and full. A few times, Richie's guitar was a tad low, but that's about it. Julia's bass was solid and thumpy, and had a good clarity so that her fills, which were really awesome by the way, always stood out. Speaking of Julia, I was seriously impressed by her, both as a musician and as a performer. Her chops are as solid as anyone's, and then some. She plays smoothly and with excellent dynamics, and that really adds an extra level of depth to the music. As a performer, I think she's great because while she has a captivating presence that adds movement and an upbeat vibe to the show, she knows how to do so without taking the focus away from Adrian and Richie. And that is a skill in itself, and it really is something to be respected. I will definitely be supporting her solo career because I feel she absolutely deserves it, and I look forward to hear what she has to offer as a solo artist as well. Bruno was great on the drums. Not that I was surprised considering the kind of drumming he does with Angra. His timing is very precise and the guy hits hard. I thought it gave the songs a really heavy groove and I definitely enjoyed that. I like drummers who hit hard, like Chuck Biscuits. If you don't know who that is, check out the first 4 Danzig albums. That is some solid drumming. But yeah, Bruno is awesome. Seems like a great guy who just loves to play. The crazy thing is after the band finished their set, I heard a lot of people saying it was the best show they'd ever seen. And some of those people have seen Iron Maiden multiple times. So that really says a lot about this project and the intensity and passion that not just Adrian and Richie but everyone involved is putting into it. Of course, both guitarists were great, and it felt really special to watch them perform from up close like that in a relatively small venue. I was watching them so attentively the whole night, especially Adrian, as I kept trying to steal little secrets and key points to his playing style, which is a continuous quest for me. His tone and vibrato and the way he uses space between notes and licks is just masterful. Richie is of course an absolute monster player. He was already impressive at 20 years old, so what he's doing now with that kind of fluidity is just mind-blowing. Fortunately, I managed to get footage of some really great lead playing by both guys, so let's take a quick look at that. They also played some cool harmonies that were tight and precise, but with a nice groove so that it still felt loose and human. I got a little footage of that as well. The last thing I want to mention is the surprise guest, who was none other than the always awesome Nico McBrain.
Nico McBrain!
It was so great to see him standing on the side of the stage, watching the band and enjoying the show a few songs before he was scheduled to be introduced. And when he finally came on stage, the friendship and camaraderie between him and Adrian was just so wonderful to see. He said a few words to the thrilled audience, got behind the kit, and they launched into Wasted Years and Solar Fire, which is a song off the Smith Kotzen album that features Nico on drums. I thought it was a really smart move to include Wasted Years, because of course some people in the audience are just there because they like Adrian Smith from Iron Maiden. So having that as the last song leaves them with something familiar that they know and love. An interesting thing about this song is that they played it tuned down a half step, and it actually sounded great. I know Iron Maiden don't really like the idea of tuning down, but it does help the singer a little, and it helps make things sound a little smoother sometimes. Wasted Years still sounded exactly like the song, and most people didn't even notice it was tuned down, so this might be something for Maiden to consider for the future on a few songs. I know Bruce can still hit all the notes he wants, but I figure if he could spare that extra half step at this point in his career, why not? Anyway, that's just my 2 cents, which of course no one asked for. On a personal note, I really enjoyed this trip because I know I've always been a little spoiled when it came to shows. I grew up in Montreal and I've been living in Toronto for almost 9 years. Both are major North American cities, so artists have always come right to my doorstep and I never had to travel to see anyone. This was the first time I actually had to book a trip around the show, and it gave me the opportunity to visit a different city. London is magnificent, by the way. It's charming, beautiful, and majestic. Getting around was easy, and the people we met were all really friendly, welcoming, and helpful. Speaking of meeting people, it was really great to meet and say hi to some of you who follow the channel at the show. It's always nice to put a face to the name or to the avatar, and to have a chat in person and take a few pictures together. That was a definite highlight of the trip for me. Thank you for making me feel like what I do on here is worthwhile and meaningful. That is hugely encouraging. The last thing I want to say is that I sincerely hope they continue with this project because it's so good and it really seems like they've only scratched the surface when it comes to what they're capable of. From what they said and wrote after the show, it does seem like they plan to keep making music together in the future, and that gets me excited for what's to come. Thank you all so much for watching, and stay tuned for more licks of the beast.